Hello, this is Miss Morgan with a short video that will describe some British ideas that influence the US government. Actually, this will just be the background, and then you will look at your textbook for more information about specific ideas that influence the US government. So this slide has a visual of Great Britain. It tells you what countries that is referring to, and we're going to move on to the next slide. So the first thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to write down definitions for colonies and colonists, and those are listed here. The Americans who lived here before the US was an actual country were colonists of Great Britain. And so it's important to understand what those definitions mean. So the British government helped pay for people to come to North America and settle here. And as a result, the people who were here were colonists, and they were under the rule of Britain. So specifically, colonists were under the rule of the British monarchy. That meant a king or queen, most likely a king, but there were some queens in British history. But for this time period, it will be kings. All right, they had rights of the people in England, and their experience under the British government when they lived in the Americas helped influence their ideas about limited government. You should pause the video at any point that you need to in order to write down the information on your note sheet or type the information on your note sheet. So in Britain, there were very strict social classes, and for hundreds of years, you were born into a social class, and that was your social class for life. There was no chance in changing that social class. So it was it was a very strict, predetermined, basically, social class system. There were three main social classes. I know the visual will show a different picture of that, but for our purposes, just to keep it simple, there were three main social classes that are listed there. So you're going to write in the words that go with each definition. You're going to write in the bold-faced words. Most people were common people. They were just your average citizens. Many of them were farmers or, did like kind of thankless regular work. And they were just the regular old people. So the way that control over land was determined in Britain was that the monarch would divide up the land of the country and give it to nobles. It was just too much of a space for one person to control. So all the land technically was the monarch's. And the monarch then gave it to others to control, like on a more local, smaller level. So it's like the best mental image would be like if you imagine all the different towns in Massachusetts and one person's in charge of the town. Now that's not an exact analogy and example, but it's close enough. But it was easier to have someone on a local level controlling the land and the people on the land than to have a monarch back in the 1700s try to control a whole country, because obviously took a while to get somewhere else, and it just wasn't practical. So the land was divided up, and the monarchs, by the monarchs, and the nobles controlled it on a smaller level. So that's the last slide. The rest of the information you're going to use your online textbook to find. And this was just a little background info about life in Britain. And then your textbook, you will look at some specific things that influenced the view of government of American colonists. All right, I don't have any clever ending lines for this one because I forgot to look up the clever ending lines that my previous students have created. So I'll just say I'll see you in class sometime soon if I'm not in the room with you at this exact moment. And I hope you got all the information that you need to. You should rewind the video if you didn't. All right, that's it. Adios.